Let's say hello to, I don't know who this person's name is. Oh, here we go. I think we got this. Mike from Orange County, California. Here we go. Hey, Eddie, I listened to both shows. Okay, I'm assuming he means the Monday night show and the daily show on Volume. I wanted to know if you ever talk Kiss with Sal from the Howard Stern show, and what's the status of your autobiography? Mike in the OC. Mike, I have talked Kiss with Sal. Sal will grab me in the hallways or text me from time to time. He told me his son is now a big Kiss fan as well and discovered my show here on Volume, and they are regular listeners, which I appreciate. Sal is on board with me about the current status of Kiss, at least in the conversations I've had with him. Love Sal, love Richard, love the whole Stern crew. And from time to time, we have some great music conversations because Richard's a big rock fan as well. And I would love to have them on this show talking about rock, but their deal with Howard is that he prohibits them from going on other shows on Sirius XM without his okay, only because obviously they're his thing and, he wants their output and creativity and wherever they're appearing to be only on his show, which I understand. But if they were allowed to come on my show or any other shows for that matter, I'm sure they would, to talk rock and in Sal's case, talk Kiss with me. My autobiography, thank you for asking, Mike. I started writing it a couple of years ago. I am about halfway through it, and I just stopped dead in my tracks. Why? Laziness. Laziness and lack of time. I did the bulk of the writing for what's written on planes, where I spend a lot of time, but I find that lately when I am on planes and able to disconnect for however many hours I am on the plane, I just want to relax. It's pretty much the only time I have in my life not tethered to a phone, not tethered to emails, texting, so I catch up on a lot of reading and like to just kind of decompress, which is not good considering I do want to finish that book. The other thing, too, is even when I'm lucky enough to be in business on airplanes, I just find the space so confining that it's hard to comfortably pull out your computer and write. I know a lot. I watch people on airplanes, man. They're in a coach seat with people right on top of them, and damn if they're not still pulling out that laptop and propping it up and working on it on their lap. And I'm like, man, your elbows are hitting other people. It's so friggin' uncomfortable. So that, coupled with pure laziness and wanting to disconnect a little bit, every time I want to reach for the overhead and grab the laptop and let me get back into writing the book, and I just end up grabbing a magazine or putting on a movie and not moving. But thank you for asking, and maybe it'll inspire me to pick up and continue writing and doing more. I had this loose target to get it out for the 35th anniversary of my time in the music industry, and that was last year. So maybe we'll shoot for 40, God willing. I do want to finish it. I'll tell you this about my books. My first book, Essential Hard Rock and Metal Volume 1, is going to come out in a deluxe, slightly rewritten edition sometime next year. So more on that when I know. But my publisher is going to do a new edition, and I'm going to contribute some new things to revising my first book, Essential Hard Rock and Heavy Metal Volume 1, which is temporarily out of print until we do the new edition. Jim in Cass City, Michigan. Jim writes, Eddie, does Sirius XM have a way to gather listener stats for channels' programs? If so, how are the ratings for Volume, most notably your show? Trunk Nation is the only reason I keep my subscription, and if Volume Trunk Nation were to go away, I'm afraid I'd have to be out of here. I'd have to bow out is exactly what he wrote. I thought he wrote be out of here. Keep it up, brother. Jim, Cass City, Michigan. Jim, very kind of you, sir. Very, very kind of you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a loyal Trunk Nation listener. The answer to your question? I honestly have no idea. That has always been, I'll tell you something, among the various shows on Sirius XM over the years, it's always been a question that the hosts have wondered and asked about. You know, how do they know? Because in regular radio, you know, you live and die by your ratings, right? There's so many channels and so many shows and so many hosts that work on various capacities at Sirius XM. How do you know which ones do well and how do you know which ones have nobody listening to them? I don't know. I would think that somehow there's a way that they know. You would think that maybe some sort of deal where with the technology being as advanced as it is, they could tell how many people are popping on a channel. I'm sure, you know, one of the things that we're doing a special show today that caters to people who listen on the app on demand, that can certainly be tracked, right? So I'm sure if it's not an exact science to know exactly how many people are listening, I'm sure they have a way of having a loose understanding of it, a loose knowledge of it, enough to know, yeah, there's some traction here. We're seeing downloads. We're seeing people pulling the person's name or show up on the app. We're seeing a certain volume of phone calls that come in. And maybe, just maybe, they have some sort of technology that knows how many people are hitting the presets on a particular show at a particular time. I don't really know the answer to that, Jim, but it's fascinating, and I appreciate that you got my back, and you are here because I am here, and that means a lot to me, so thank you. So let me tell you this, and this is the truth, though, when it comes to ratings and stuff like that. Throughout history and listening to radio and some of my favorite radio personalities over the years, I've heard a lot. You know, you've heard about ratings wars and fighting over ratings and who's got a better ratings period or ratings book or what have you, right? Now, you're listening to a guy that has been in radio since 1983. A huge portion of it in regular FM radio, which I still do a syndicated show on, and since like '02, satellite radio. And for almost the past 3 years, a full-time talk show here on Volume, which I absolutely love doing. All that being said, in my entire history in radio, I have never once known what sort of ratings I have. Ever. And here's why. A, I never wanted to get hung up on it. B, I knew that if the ratings sucked, I would not be on the radio, ever. And C, if the ratings were really good, most of the people that I worked for at the time would not tell me because they wouldn't want you to know, because then they'd worry that you'd ask for more money or pull a leverage play. So that may be stupid and naive that I never took the time to, operate in that world. But I always had a confidence that there's got to be some people listening. Otherwise, I wouldn't have survived in this thing for 36 years. So they got to be good enough that to keep them, I've been employed this long in radio. I don't know if they, I'm sure if they got to some sort of Stern-like proportions, I'd be hearing about it from someone because others would want to hire me. And I'm sure if they were awful and nobody was listening, I'd be gone. So I just worry about doing the best I can do every day and providing the best show I can provide on whatever outlet I'm doing it, and let the chips fall where it may, and take it each day as it comes. But I would think that there's some way that they got to know, right? I would think, or have a good idea at least. One more before the break here. This is from Richard Gilly. Richard writes, "Hey, Eddie, it's been a while since you talked about Alter Bridge. They are working on a new album to be released in October. I see they are playing Shiprocked, but it also lists Hailstorm ahead of them. Why do you think that is? What are your top 5 Alter Bridge songs, picking one from each studio album? Thanks for all you do. for rock. Richard, Alter Bridge. I absolutely love Alter Bridge. One of the best bands out there. As far as billing on a cruise, that you saw their logo, Hailstorm's logo a little bigger. I don't know how much to think of that or to look into that. I mean, billing is, cruises and things like that, billing is pretty loose. You have your one or two really big fish at the top, and then, no pun intended, fish, cruise, you know what I'm saying? But, and then the rest of the bill is a hodgepodge of bands. So I can't tell you about the billing thing. I mean, Alter Bridge is an arena act in England. Here in America, they do well, but they still haven't gone through the roof. Hailstorms probably had some more radio success and sales. Also a great band, by the way. So that's why maybe they edge them a little bit in the billing. I really don't know. But I have not talked a lot about Alter Bridge simply because there's been nothing to talk about, because Mark has been doing Tremonti and Miles has been doing Slash and solo stuff. But you're absolutely right. There is a new record coming. They're not working on it. It's totally done. I can't wait to hear it. Fortress is my favorite Alter Bridge record, top to bottom. I love all the records. The only record from Alter Bridge I really don't know that well is the very first one. I never spent a lot of time with it. But Blackbird Forward, Blackbird AB3, Fortress, the last record, love those records. Love them. Especially Fortress, which is probably my favorite of all the Alter Bridge records. Deceptively heavy band. Killer playing. Killer dual guitar playing with Miles and Mark. Killer singing. Powerful as hell. Alter Bridge is everything I love in a heavy rock band. I can't wait for the record. Can't wait to see them live. Amazing band.